most successful child actor of the 1930s, the prodigy beyond his years, a wholesale name. Perhaps your grandparents knew about them, maybe even your grandparents' grandparents. A name lost to time, a small spark of joy gone too soon, disappearing right before our eyes. His name was Edric Darling. He had everything: talent, fame, and a tremendous amount of wealth. The question still remains, decades later, with many speculating that Edric is still alive somewhere, living a quiet life. Some believe he's a ghost haunting the manor. Many theories surround Edric and his disappearances. It is still a topical debate to present day. The story in particular takes place around 40 years after his disappearance, which focuses on Darlington Manor and its supernatural occurrences. The Abandoned Manor and its disappearance of 3 teens. The year was 1995, and Nancy Burns had received a camcorder for her 16th birthday 6 months ago. Along with her 2 best friends, they explore old abandoned buildings, from malls to hospitals. The teens were always off on one of their adventures. After researching in the local library, the teens stumbled across a well-known documented history book containing the story of Edric Darling. His best movies and archive photos, the photos of the young Edric, wise beyond his years, a genius. Even through these pictures, you can see the maturity of this pale-faced boy. Standing next to him, there was a tall old man with a cane and a top hat, with a serious look on his face. According to the book, this man was his manager and his father, Phineas Fitzgerald, an entertainment giant. As the teens turn the page, they come across an old photo of Darlington Manor, detailing its tragic history and how one event brought the Darlington Empire to a halt. The fire of Darlington Manor. 1948. Their home was completely destroyed, and with lack of evidence, the case was unsolved. Nothing came of it. The only vital piece of evidence was the fact that Phineas was found dead in his office, while Edric was nowhere to be found. This was an event that shocked the world, having a major news coverage being televised in multiple countries surrounding the tragic event of the young actor who disappeared far too soon. So the question still remains: who is Edric Darling, and why was his life cut so short? If that is true, the trio found this case fascinating. With one quick search on the internet, they found the location to the old manor, planning to travel in the later hours of the night. As it got dark, the 3 teens travelled to the location, lost in time. Upon arrival, the teens noticed the overgrown garden. The trees almost looked dead. The air was cold and dark, which was strange. Since it was summer, bats flew across the sky, with rats scratching across the floor. With fear setting in, the teens questioned whether this was a good idea, as they braved the long walk to the front door. As Nancy's hands begin to shake, she gets ready. She gets her camera ready. The house is covered in dust, cobwebs, creepy crawlies, and the once brightly lit fire off from the mantelpiece was now dim, and has been for quite some time now. As they open the creaky door leading to the old kitchen with dripping taps and empty cupboards, along with rats and bugs scuttling across the cold, damp floor, old rubbish can be seen scattered on the tables and counters left to rot as a white light passes their faces. The teens proceed on further, looking around the first floor and finding a bathroom, living rooms, libraries and dining areas, all in the same condition. On many occasions, the old furniture would start to fall apart due to the effects of the house fire. They had to proceed with caution when climbing up the rickety old stairs. While Gavin, one of Nancy's friends, had clumsily tripped over almost everything, hurting himself in the process, but managed to recover his balance as they proceeded on to the second floor. The teams came across old black and white photos scattered everywhere, many of them being of the young actor Edric, with very few of his father, Phineas. But it wasn't just the photos. Newspaper clippings were discovered in a crumpled up and unreadable state, but somehow all managed to survive the fire. But as they investigated further, evidence appeared lost. Something was not adding up. Documents missing and torn up newspapers had appeared to be tampered with. What could have possibly happened? The teens thought to themselves as they proceeded on further. Suddenly, footsteps can be heard in the distance, which grew louder, with a strange small figure can be seen peering out the window on the balcony, banging on the window. Giggling to himself before he vanished. More noises were coming from downstairs as the teens carefully tried to navigate their way back down the old staircase to investigate the first floor, as fear is shown on their faces. One even pleads to leave as they run to the front door. It's locked shut. There is no escape. The lights begin to flicker, with a faint glint on the old television, with a similar small figure on the TV, crying as if they were trying to escape, until the electric bolts out. One of the teens ready their torch, as they are now in complete darkness. A strange noise suddenly comes from the fireplace, and what appears before their eyes almost feels like an illusion, as they witness the once dim fire lit ever so brightly, along with a shadowy figure, much older than the others, a maniacal laugh and evil smirk, standing there menacingly, with a match in his right hand, slowly letting go of it, setting the manor ablaze. The footage cuts out along with a static, panning out to Darlington Manor on fire, while the shadowy figure is seen exiting stage left, disappearing into the shadows. No one knows what happened to those teens who entered the manor on that fateful day 30 years ago, but it was most likely that the teenagers never made it out alive. A static on the screen appears along with the words, "Maybe this is all set up for something much bigger. But I guess we'll never know what truly happened."